Now, before making marriage great, we are talking Kylie Minogue. That's right, our Kylie, as she is also affectionately known in Australia. Now, Kylie Minogue, very well-known Australian singer and actress. Well, she is mostly known as a singer. Undoubtedly she can act, and she acts very well. But she's really much made her career in singing and in pop. Well, that's why she's also known as the Princess of Pop. That's another thing she's known as. Okay, Kylie. When was she born? She was born at 11 a.m. on the 28th of May, 1968 in Melbourne, Australia. Okay. Now, that means on a year pillar, she is a Yang Earth monkey. She's monkey. Her month pillar is Yin Fire Snake. Her day pillar is Yang Earth Dog. And her hour pillar is Yin Fire Snake again. So it's monkey, snake, dog, and then snake again. So one monkey, two snakes, and one dog. So her chart is what we'll call a resource chart. And for a resource chart, her particular elements are, well, in terms of her favorable elements, the two favorable are fire and wood, and the two least favorable are water and earth. Now, Kylie has had a tremendous career in so many decades. Over 30 years it's been. That's what her career spans, and her accolades included 2 Grammy Awards and 4 Brit Awards and 18 ARIA Music Awards. So Brit Awards would have been from Britain and ARIA is Australia. So I think ARIA stands for Australian Recording Industry Awards, I guess. ARIA. Correct, yeah. Apologies if I have interpreted that incorrectly. And she is the highest selling female recording artist from Australia, having sold over 80 million records worldwide. And in 2024, Time magazine actually named her as one of the most influential people in the world. Okay, I'm glad they did acknowledge her because it's pretty much an American-based magazine and they weren't being US-centric. Okay, so they were being fair. Now, as I said, she got her start playing Charlene Robinson in the Australian soap opera Neighbours. And it was gone on for decades. Actually, I'm not sure if it's still on or it's finally been axed. There's a thing about it. I think 2 years ago, they were saying like, oh yeah, it's going to be axed finally after so long, because they finished the contract with, I think, a network, and then the network didn't want to renew it, and so they thought about just finishing it, and then somehow it came back. I'm not sure if it came back permanently. So our viewers, if you know what the state is, please let us know. Just post it on my Facebook page. So Charlene Robinson in Neighbours she started that role in 1986 and went on till 1988 for 3 years. Now, when she started, she was in the Yin-Wood luck cycle. Okay, what did I say? Wood is one of her favourable elements. So she got started and she got recognition in Neighbours. I mean, particularly the episode 1987 episode. It was a wedding episode with Shane in Neighbours, who was Jason Donovan. Okay, and I understand it. That episode was so watched. It broke so many records. It was such a well-watched episode, that wedding episode of Shane and Charlene. And which actually, as an aside, Jason was her boyfriend, her real-life boyfriend, I think at the time, and for a little bit afterwards as well. Okay, but then she began her music career after that, after playing Charlene. Now, actually, I think even a little bit before that, she started performing as a singer because I think there was a Fitzroy Football Club benefit concert and she performed I Got You Babe as a duet with John Waters and the Locomotion as an encore. Okay, so then it was retitled as Locomotion and she was signed in 1987 with Mushroom Records based on her popularity from Neighbours. And Locomotion was released as her debut single in Australia in 1987. And that was only 1 week after the wedding episode premiered. So that was excellent timing. You know, they took advantage of all the publicity and the attention around that wedding episode in Neighbours. And then she launched her single. And it became the best-selling single of the decade in Australia. It became very popular. I think it even ranked quite highly in the US at that time as well, you know, that Locomotion. I think it was a resung of an earlier song, Locomotion, but her version, resung, repackaged, and it was a hit. So good on her. So then she released a self-titled debut album called Kylie in 1988. Okay, and so she did very well. Now, that was during the rabbit luck cycle. Okay, rabbit is wood. So when she was in the rabbit luck cycle, it was 1989 that she began that luck cycle. And in 1989, she would actually starred in a movie called The Delinquents. And it was set in the 1950s, about, let's say, teenagers. I think she ended up being a teen mum or something in there. And I only seen snippets of it, but she was amazing. I think her acting skills then, with the crying and all that, it was good. She can act. Some people that, I guess, you know, you have actors turning singers, and matter if they can sing well enough. And then there's some singers that want to dabble in acting. And one that comes to mind very easily, I guess, would be Madonna. She's an excellent singer, but I've seen her in some of her acting roles. I guess in, what was it, Dick Tracy? Yeah, she starred as Breathless Mahoney, very sexy outfits, but you can see it wasn't natural. Her acting wasn't natural. And I think the one that she did okay, it was in Evita. And funny enough, that was a musical itself. So much of it was singing. You kind of think, was there much acting? It didn't seem, like acting was almost secondary to her. But anyway, Madonna can sing, but she can't act. Kylie can act very well. And I guess, personally to me, she's an okay singer. All right. So I know that probably upset some Kylie fans, but but that's my assessment of her. All right, she's had so much of a stellar career that I think I can only cover some of the main points. It's just too much to cover. Just like, I guess, Nicole Kidman, she's been in so many movies and drama series and what have you, that it's not possible to cover it all. So we just do the main points. Now, in 1989 to 1991, she dated Michael Hutchence of In Excess. I should say the late Michael Hutchence. And as we know, later he committed suicide, or it was ruled as a suicide. I know everyone has their theories on that, but it was ruled as a suicide. He was the front lead singer of In Excess. So that was devastating, but it wasn't surprising because she dated him during her rabbit luck cycle. Now, House of Spouse is governed by the dog, okay, and rabbits and dogs combined. So her house of spouse was activated during that time. So I'm not surprised that she ended up dating Michael Hutchence. And Michael Hutchence was a very notable partner, very famous partner of hers. She's had so many other partners, but none of them were as famous as Michael Hutchence. A lot of them, the names I wasn't familiar with at all. Not taking and saying that there were nobodies. I'm sure there were some bodies, but I just wasn't familiar with them, or they were just not internationally famous enough that I would have known them, if you know what I mean. Okay, moving on. In 1990 to 92, she released a couple of it. Rhythm of Love, Let's Get to It, and Greatest Hits. Okay. And in 1993 to 1998, then she entered into the Yang Wood luck cycle. So still wood, still a favorable element. And there she released Kylie Minogue, albums Kylie Minogue and Impossible Princess. And in 1997, she was in a relationship with French photographer Stephanie Senau. Pardon my French. It's French. So, yeah, with the guy in 1997. Now, I'm going to jump a bit because there's so much that she's released and done since then. I know we've heard about she fell out with record company as well, and been trying to get out of a bad contract with them. And eventually, I don't know what she had to do, but eventually she managed to get out of it. So kudos to her. Now, in 2005, something big happened in 2005. She entered the Yin Water luck cycle. And what did I say her least favorable elements were? Well, one of them was water. And what happened in that year? Well, she got diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay, and she had to take some time off, and she had lumpectomy, and what I heard was she went through some very heavy chemo, and I think, she's saying, I'm not sure, I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines where it was like a year of hell for her, like she'd been to hell during that chemo. Her chemo treatment, and I heard it is really much hell. You can't put light on it, but I think that's probably why she ended up never having children afterwards. And I think it was mentioned somewhere, I think an article about why she didn't have children after in her life. I guess because after the chemo treatment, it might have rendered her sterile. As it was to, because it is very strong and very toxic. So, but she was able to get through it, and good for her. I mean, we haven't heard of a reoccurrence, so she's been fairly, I'd say, fortunate, because a lot of other women have it, and then it comes back, and if they're lucky enough, it goes away. If not, it doesn't go away, and yeah, you know what happens. Now, 2007 to 2011. Okay. She was then, she was still in the Yin Water, but she managed to release another album, X and Aphrodite. And in 2008, she launched a range of home furnishings. Okay. Now, 2010, she entered into the Ox luck cycle. Now, ox is earth by nature, earth, but it combined it with the snake. It combined it with the snake to form a partial metal combination, and metal is a neutral element for her, so that was okay. And then that year, I guess she was invested by Prince Charles, who was then the Prince of Wales, as an officer of the Order of the British Empire. So there you go. I think she also got British citizenship as well. I think, well, surely she would have after all this time be living in the UK. So I think she's a dual citizen. And in 2012, she celebrated 25 years in the music industry. Now, it's been another 12 years since then, so you were saying 35 years now? Oh, my God. 37 years then, if we were to add another 12 years from 2012. Jeez. Now, 2013, she parted with her manager, Terry Blamey. And that's been the manager since the start of her singing career. Now, the ox does combine with the snake. Now, the snake, as I mentioned, was in her month pillar. And her month pillar also represents her career. So her career was activated there with a combination with the ox. And so with that, I'm not surprised something happened with her career, and is in this instance parted ways with her long-time manager, which is probably her only manager since her singing career. Wow. That would have been as you can imagine, that would have been a big thing. Just like parting ways with your coach or something that's been with you since you started tennis, something like that. It's a major thing, major shift. Now, 2015, she entered into the Yang water luck cycle. Not so good. She left Parlophone Records and Rock Nation. And that year, wow, she entered in a trademark dispute with Kylie Jenner, because apparently Kylie Jenner wanted to trademark her name Kylie. Okay, and Kylie went and contested it. And I think reportedly what she said was, when people think of Kylie, they think of me when they hear the name Kylie. And I have to say she has a point, because she's been trading as Kylie, the brand Kylie, since the 1990s. And so this Kylie Jenner, who's this upstart that just came along. Granted, she's a reality star and with lots of money, and probably a model now. I think so. She's a model. She's the one that's a model. Anyway. But so she's been Kylie far longer than Kylie Jenner. And so it wasn't a surprise that she actually won the dispute. And so Kylie Jenner was not able to trademark Kylie, because Kylie Minogue, has been trading under that name far prior to that, for a long time prior to that. You just can't then actually pull the rug out from someone's feet, so to speak. Now, 2017 to 2021, she released Golden and Step Back in Time, the definitive collection and disco album. So, and from 2022 to the present, she released Tension and Tension 2. She was working on a 16th studio album. And, of all things, in 2022, she decided, having lived in the UK, London, since the 90s, to relocate back to Melbourne. Wow, such a big change, citing a desire to be closer to her family in Australia. And I can understand that. I guess, she's been around, she's done all that she wanted to do and achieve. And yes, in the end, you miss your family. And I guess you want to spend more time. And because she's got all the money that she never needs, what else is there? I guess it's family. That's important. And it's a good thing that she hasn't lost sight of the important things in life. And interestingly enough, in July of that year, she returned to Neighbours to reprise her role as Charlene. I guess that was the episode that was supposed to be the finale episode, the episode where that's going to be the last hurrah for Neighbours. And you've had a lot of these stars come back. I think, I don't know if Craig Pearce came back as well. some of the other stars came back to kind of like say hello. And apparently Kylie and Jason Donovan came back and reprised their roles as Charlene and Shane to see where they were up to, living the married life and so forth. I didn't watch that episode, so all the information I have is just hearsay and what I've gleaned bits and pieces from. So that made people's day. People enjoyed it. And I caught a glimpse of it, and I'm thinking, yeah, good on her. I'm glad she came back and did that. It's a big acknowledgement of her roots. And that's being someone that's being humble and not afraid or embarrassed to acknowledge where they're from. You do have stars that I guess eventually get too big for their boots, so to speak, and kind of feel embarrassed about where they started off as or ashamed. But, not Kylie. So good on her for that. And interesting enough, 2022 was the rat luck cycle. And in the rat luck cycle, she clashed, and that was a tiger year. And that was a tiger year, 2022. Now, tigers clash with monkeys. And so the monkey actually governs her year pillar. Now, what the year pillar represents is the outside, how people perceive you, and also how you deal with the outside. And the tiger year then clashing with the monkey, basically, she doesn't need, that's the outside, she doesn't need it. She's gone back to her roots, so to speak. And it's what a year it was, going back to her roots. Coming back to living back in Australia in her hometown, and also going back to where she came from, so to speak, Navis, where it all began. So that was a good on her. Don't need the outside, don't need outwardly perceptions and maintain your image and so forth, that sort of thing. Now, the big thing about Kylie is she's never married. Have you realized that? She's never actually married. Plenty of boyfriends. And I think she got engaged at least once, but never married. So why is that the case? You think with someone very famous, they get exposed and meet a lot of different men and influential men as well. So, but why? And so that's very easy to marry and find a partner. But why not Kylie? Why didn't she? All right. You know what? The thing is, for a woman, the power element is her husband. Okay, this partner is and her husband. And in this case, for Kylie, her power element is wood. And on her chart, there is absolutely no wood at all. Not even a hidden wood. So what does that mean? Well, that means she has no power, and she has no power present in her chart. It's very difficult to marry. It's not impossible, but very difficult. And so you need to make the most of the chances that you get. But I guess Kylie is in a position where she doesn't have to strive for marriage. And so she wouldn't have tried that hard. And because she didn't try that hard, of course, then she didn't marry. Okay, so we'll have a look. Look, her power elements happened when she was young. Okay, her chances were from 1985 to the year 2004. So those were her best times to marry. In one instance, either she has the power element of wood, or it combined with her house of spouse. Now, the two luck cycles that would combine with the house of spouse would have been the rabbit and the tiger. And her proper power, so to speak, started when she was 17. So if she were to marry, she would have had to marry young. Okay, and I guess to someone whose career is just about to take off, that's a big ask. And so if she married then, it's very hard for her career to take off because, look, A marriage is basically a partnership in life. And when you're a partner with someone, you can't just take off and go. No. You've got to consider your partner as well. And if you just can't take off on a whim or go with whoever, then it's harder for your career to take off because of more restrictions. I had to say, it says hesitate to say the word restrictions, but because you are also accountable to your partner, okay? Works both ways. But, whatever you're doing also affects your partner. So that's why you've got to take more into consideration. And if you had to take so much into consideration, well, you can't be as flexible as you would otherwise as a single person. Okay? But that's also a thing, being an artist in that type of life. It's different than, say, a corporate environment, far different. In terms of the people you meet, the lifestyle, she would have been on touring and playing late at nights and so forth. Not conducive to a marriage. Doesn't say it can't happen, because you look at the Beatles, Paul McCartney and so forth. It can work, but it's far harder the other way around. You've got a husband with a loving, supporting wife that will follow him wherever he goes. Like I say, Paul and Linda McCartney, I think they were only separated apart for like 2 nights in their whole marriage together, which was like, between 20 and 30 years. I don't know how long it was, but it was basically till death they part. It was until he died. So that really was a true marriage. But the other thing is, so what about her engagement where she almost got married? Apparently, she got engaged to a Joshua Sassy. So this is the thing where I'm sure that he is a somebody, but the names of the guy she's with, apart from Michael Hutchins, just don't ring a bell. And she got engaged to him in 2016, and that was during the year of the monkey in 2016. And the monkey year, look, that does not combine with her house of spouse at all, but it combined it with the luck cycle she was in, which was rat. And then in 2017, they broke up. Now, 2017 was the rooster year. Now, the rooster is not a direct clash with the dog. However, we consider it a harm with the dog because the rooster is a direct clash with the rabbit, which is the dog's best friend, or very close friend, I should say, good, close, secret friend. So it's not surprising that she actually had the breakup with Joshua. And also given because her chart had no power, it's very, her relationships are not strong unless she puts a lot of work into it, and unless they've come during the right periods. So I guess being an older woman and I guess past the age where you're in a hurry to really get married and have kids and so forth, and she has other things to deal with, look, if it's not that big a deal, as big a pressing, I guess a bit passé to her. And and so I broke up, and I guess that's why she's never married. So not all celebrities marry, I guess, out of choice.